Hello, friends. Welcome to the Southern State of Golf podcast. Hi, I'm your host, John. How was your Masters 2026 week? Well, in today's episode, we're going to kind of recap some of the things that I saw, some of the experiences that I had during Masters weeks, even though I didn't attend a single day of the Masters, which I am certainly a little jealous about that. But first, I'd love to encourage you to go to bestball.com to check all the great, outstanding podcasts that are part of the Best Ball family. We're excited to be a part of that Best Ball family. You have the Whole Story podcast. You have Off the Deck, pictures on a scorecard, and that's good. Pick it up. A lot of great podcasts, a lot of great guests, a lot of great guests recently to have to dealing with the Masters. So I'd encourage you to go check it out. Also, go check out on bestball.com. Check out the Best Ball Golf Club. It is a great online community built on one belief: golf is people. And a shout out to Robbie Woodard and Jonathan. They recently, when in Augusta, Robbie was able to sit up front, and during an interview with Tom Coyne and Jack Nicklaus, he shared that on his social media. It's also, there's an interview posted, a part of the Best Ball Golf Club, with Tom Coyne and Jack Nicklaus. I think it's so cool that just not so long ago we had Tom Coyne on the podcast, and just a few weeks later he's interviewing Jack Nicklaus in a fantastic interview. So I would encourage you, go to bestball.com, check out all the great podcasts and the Best Ball Golf Club. A lot of great stuff going on there. Well, what were your thoughts about the Masters 2026? Well, first of all, if you're listening to this podcast wanting hardcore breakdown on golf specific things in terms of how someone played, what did they use too much club, were they aggressive, that's not me. I'm certainly never going to provide criticism to how a golfer plays, or probably actually give too much praise either, because I don't know all the technical stuff behind actually playing. But what I will say is, I think there was just a lot of really cool things to see there. One of the criticisms that I heard, and I don't think it was fair as I dive into it a little bit more, was about Rory getting to play Augusta National more often than other players. Well, the reality is there's a couple of things. Now, if I've got some of this wrong, please let me know. Please hit me up. But it sounds like once you know that you're in the field at the Masters, Augusta National will allow you to come up and play the course a certain amount of times. Or, I've heard various things like you can come up almost as much as you want, but most people don't take advantage of it. I think the advantage for Rory is ahead of time, like he said, and even in his press conference, he takes Poppy to school, drops her off in the morning, hopped on a private plane, from Florida, comes up to Augusta, probably a short flight, gets out, plays around, has lunch, dinner, come back. And I think he actually comes back in time for dinner with Poppy and his family. So if you want to say Rory has an unfair advantage because he's got a lot of wealth, yeah, that's I'm fine with you saying that, but I would also say that Rory's earned that wealth. That's not wealth that he was given. He earned it by becoming, probably the world's number one player or number two player or one of the best players. You can't argue right now that, back-to-back Masters winners for him. I mean, that's big time. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised that Rory won back-to-back, because I really questioned after he won last year, how was Rory going to take this? He's securing the career Grand Slam. Was he going to be the type of guy that was going to be more driven to be better? Or was he going to enjoy the fruits of his labor after winning the career Grand Slam, winning the Masters? Was he going to back off? Was his drive going to back off? Now, all of that I really don't know. But what is evident to me is in listening to him, some of his interviews, he doesn't have any pressure on him. And you may have said in some of the other past Masters and maybe other major events, pressure has bothered him. Pressure caused him not to be as good. Well, he had a couple of times where he didn't play great, but I didn't see the pressure get to him in this Masters week. So I think that's for me now, I'm changing my line of thinking. I think Rory it's not going to shock me if Rory wins the next Masters, the PGA Championship, and who knows, go after the Open and then the US Open. Like I'll be honest, I can't be surprised if I'm going to back this up. I think I would be a little surprised if he won the Grand Slam in 1 year. I just think that is so hard to do, even when you're on top of your game. But he's certainly going to be, if he's healthy, he's certainly going to be in the mix. So, but the criticism that Rory got, I think from some people saying, "Oh, it's unfair. He got to play the Masters more than anybody." I think that's actually ridiculous. He earned the right to have money, to be able to spend on transportation to get him to and from Augusta National. Now, my one criticism of it is, are more professionals going to replicate this? And what I mean by that is, are they going to, instead of playing some of the other tour events leading up to the Masters, are they going to take a week or two off and then just, hey, I want to go up to Augusta and play a couple more times? It seemed to work pretty well for Rory because at the end of the day, he probably knows that course as well as any course he's played on, or one of the top ones, because he's had an opportunity to play it a number of times. And I don't know how common that is for professional golfers to do that, especially at major venues. But I think it's something to see moving forward, because that would be the one thing I don't like. If some of your better golfers don't play in like the Houston Open or the other PGA Tour events leading up to the Masters, they back out of that so they can focus more on playing the Masters. That won't be great because it doesn't make those other events near as good. So that's one thing to watch. One of the things I also like to look at, how much money did the players make for winning the PGA or winning the Masters? Rory won 4.5 million right off the top. Let's look at Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler in second place, 2.4 million. Terrell Hatton and Russell Henley, a little over $1 million, and Justin Rhodes as well, along with Cameron Young. Colin Morikawa come in with 725,000 along with Sam Burns. So those aren't bad for finishing in the upper half. I found it interesting. Like, I think I heard on the broadcast or saw somewhere, it's like, Scotty Scheffler doesn't have it. He just doesn't have it this week. The dude just didn't have it, and he finished second. Like, that's crazy to think that you can say in the Masters, it's funny to say, he just didn't have it this week. I, one shot, and it's crazy. The game of inches, as they say. I mean, you're 1 inch away from it being a playoff, which I think a lot of us were pulling for. I mean, I know I was. I was pulling for Scotty to win it. I like Scotty a little bit more than Rory. I don't dislike Rory. Although there's times I dislike his arrogance that he seems to portray, but I don't have any too many major issues with him. But I would have loved to see Rory and Scotty in a playoff. I think that would have made for fantastic drama, fantastic television. But for someone to say, Scotty just didn't have it and he missed it by one putt, I think that is, one stroke. I think that is absolutely amazing. Another thing that was a little bit of a criticism I saw of people was CBS's coverage, especially on the final day. They only focused on a handful of people. And, it was interesting to see. Now, I was okay with it because, the people that they showed were the people that were mainly in contention. But it's certainly a worthy criticism that they didn't show more of the different golfers throughout the day. And I'll be honest too, and this is maybe like somebody screaming out there, "Hey, but they did show people." Maybe you're right. I will also say this, I'm gonna back off a little bit. One of my things that I liked on Sunday, I got home from church, I had an opportunity to watch it. I fell asleep at the early part, like a little after 3 o'clock. I fell asleep probably about 30, 45 minutes, got a solid nap in. Did I miss a lot of the front nine with some of the leaders? Yep, sure did. Was I okay with that? Absolutely, it was. I don't know. Does anyone else have that tradition? Or maybe not tradition, but does anybody do that? Like, I was perfectly cool with taking a good solid nap and then coming back and watching the back nine of all the contenders. I thought it was, fantastic drama to watch and see how it goes. Certainly pulling for Scotty. It didn't work, but you got to give Rory an absolute lot of credit for getting it done. That's the one thing that really, solidified me with him, that he's grown, and I think he's going to be a force to reckon with. I mean, first of all, after Friday, he had this big 6-shot lead. Although I did find it interesting. I mean, I'm not a professional golfer. I'm not even a good amateur. I'm not even a bad amateur. I'm a really bad amateur. But anyway, they talked about a 6-stroke lead and like this was some huge thing. Now, granted, it was, I think, the largest in Masters history after Friday, but it just didn't seem like to me 6 strokes. I mean, that's like to me, what I call a 3 possession game. Because if you drop a stroke, someone else gets a birdie. There's two, so you're like 3 holes that that could be a swing in. So to me, that didn't seem unreasonable. But he lost it on Sunday. Number of different people had the lead on Sunday, but he was able to get it back. He was able to make more bigger putts, more bigger putts. I don't know if that's a proper English or not, but we're just going to go with it. He made more big putts. However, that's what we go. We're going to make more big putts and plays and shots than other people. And then even going down to the final 18th hole when, he just had to get if he got in there with a bogey, he won. And with that awful tee shot that he had on 18, he was still able to make it happen. So when people criticize maybe CBS of some of the things, like I think that was fair. Like one of the things I noticed too when they showed Lee, I remember they showed him briefly one time, and I saw on his scorecard he got a 10 on a par 5, a 10. Like this was a guy that was in contention. I think it was fair to say he was in contention and he got a 10. That's incredible to me. Incredible to me that a pro golfer can get a 10. I'm not saying that's unreasonable, but it's just crazy. And I think some people were being critical of CBS for not showing that. Now, once again, that could have happened at a time when I was falling asleep. So if they did show that, okay, that's on me because I was asleep. But I wonder, why did they not want to show that? Did they not want to show it because they didn't want to embarrass Lee in something, or did they just not think people wanted to see it? Sadly, I think people would have loved to have actually seen a high-level golfer implode like that a little bit. And I hate, and it just sounds, coming out of my mouth, that just sounds awful. And this is where I also wonder, is this some of Augusta National's influence? I wonder, does Augusta National, how much influence do they actually have while the broadcast is going on? Do they actually tell people, hey, don't show him, don't show this? Or they like, yeah, we do need to show that. So I'm kind of curious about that. That's going to be one of those things that I'd like to ask that question. Like, how much influence does Augusta National have in the live broadcast? I know that they control the narrative of it, but do they have somebody that's from the Augusta National Golf Club in on the production side of things? It's got me thinking a little bit. If any of y'all know the answer, I would love to hear that. And I'm sure they've got somebody that's on a hotline ready to tell them, hey, don't do this, don't say this. But a couple of other things that I've got from the Masters this week. The one thing that I think makes it such a great week that people love going to is the no cell phone policy. I think that is absolutely fascinating because it's funny if you tell people, I mean, especially if you tell students, as I'm a high school athletic director, was a teacher, you were to tell a kid you can't have their phone, it's almost like you tell them their whole world has just gone away if they can't have a cell phone with them at all times. And I think adults are like that. But I think it's so fascinating. The adults that I talk to, that is one of the things they love about actually going to the Masters is you can't have a cell phone. And they scare you so much that they'll escort you off the property. Even one of the former major champions, Mark Calcavecchia, he got escorted off property for having a cell phone on property. But people love going there. And they love going there and not having to have their phone. They disconnect. It is the one place where on property that people are they're completely good and understanding. Other people are understanding that they don't have their cell phone with them and that they actually someone can't get a hold of them easy. Matter of fact, can't get a hold of them, period. And that's why too, I'm going to venture to this, that one of the things that I saw this week was scammers have gotten smarter. And what I mean by that is there are people that were calling the loved ones of someone at the Masters saying they were thrown in the Augusta County or Augusta jail. And they were demanding or asking for, hey, to bail them out, you need to send X amount of money to this link or whatever. And you're like, well, how in the world how does random scammers know that people are at the Masters? We all know why. Because if you're going to the Masters, people are posting about it. They're tweeting about it. They're putting it on Instagram. They're putting it on TikTok. People can't just help themselves. That's why I'm a big proponent of typically, if I'm going anywhere, and I stay overnight away from home, I don't post about it while I'm away, or at least I do my best. I don't think I have. Um, I don't post about it because I don't want people to see that I'm away from my home right then and there. But that's what these scammers did. They looked and saw online that John Smith is at the Masters today. Okay, well, John looks like John Smith lives in California, but he's at the Masters. Let me go see if John Smith's wife or some other significant other is back at home, and let me find their phone number so I can call them and demand money. I, it's scary to say how smart these scammers are, but it's something that even the masters, people are taking advantage of the masters, and the good thing of not allowing a cell phone while they're on property. So, hey, so here's my little PSA to you. If you go to the Masters, maybe be careful about how much you post about it, especially when you know you're not at home. And I do wonder, and this has got me thinking too, I wonder if some of these people, did people go rob their houses because they posted that they were in Augusta because they knew nobody was home, or at least the owner was home. Be curious on that. One of the things I saw this week was there's actually a very small list of people that can carry a cell phone while on property there. And apparently that, these people have like a small sticker on the back of their phones that identifies them to security that they're allowed to carry it. Like, Jim Nance is allowed to have one apparently, Scott Van Pelt, which that was one of the cool things too that, during the week I love about the Masters is hearing what other people like a Scott Van Pelt, Jim Nance and other people talk about their experience being on property, being at Augusta National, and the different things that go on there. And I'll admit this too. Like for me, and this is probably not right or probably not the spirit of what they intended, but the Masters, the thing that I take from the enjoyment is almost the other things around the golf. I mean, granted, yes, the golf is fantastic. It is the best of the best. If you're one of the best golfers, you're not opting out. If you can play it, you're playing in the Masters. But I love the traditions behind the Masters. The no cell phone policy, the merch, and we'll talk about that later. The food, we'll certainly talk about that. I just think that that is amazing. But then you hear these inside stories from a Scott Van Pelt that talks about his favorite place on the golf course, which isn't even part of the main course. I think he said number 8 on the par 3 course is something he comes out to, and something that's really big that he likes. Those are stories that I love. I also love hearing the stories about the different hospitality, things that are on campus. You talk about Berkman's Place, that's a high-end hospitality there. You've got other like IBM, I think Bank of America, they're allowed to have, certain houses or cabins on property there that are just for the sponsors because I think it's maybe like 4 of them. I love hearing those stories about the luxury that is involved in there. I love about I like hearing the stories about Berkman's Place, which I still completely don't understand. I think those are for, the high-end hospitality people that for their sponsors. I don't even know how you get a hold of that, but they got their own little pro shop, their own gear that they sell. And then you go on eBay and you see like Berkman Place polo is like $300 for a polo shirt, but there are people paying it. So I think that is all fascinating, the different things on there, the little different stories, like I said, that come out from the Masters. Well, one of the things I was able to do this year, first time I've ever done it, I had an opportunity to do the Taste of the Masters. Got the large assortment. And the Taste of the Masters, it was $189 with free shipping. We're very thankful for an individual that donated to us. I was able to have it at the office while we did a All-American Track Classic at our high school, at Spring Valley High School, that was going on the same time as the Masters. Matter of fact, it's always going to be the same week of the Masters because we're always the second weekend in April, just like the Masters. So we had the large tasting for the Masters, and it was outstanding. It came with a tub of pimento cheese, egg salad, pork barbecue, came with 6 barbecue chips, 6 plain chips, had 6 chocolate chip cookies, the Georgia pecan caramel popcorn, and a sleeve of 25 cups and coasters and flags. I will tell you, I loved every bit of it. It was outstanding, and I haven't been to the Masters in a long time. I was trying to recall exactly when I last went. I think it was I really don't know. I don't even wanna, I'm scared to say when the last time I went, but it's been a long time. So, it's been a while since I had a pimento cheese egg salad. And I tried it all, and I still got some. We still have some left over, so I'm still eating it. I even did the whole where I tried the pimento cheese and egg salad together. I think Marty Smith at ESPN called it the Pimego or something like that. It was actually really good. I like that. Now, it's really good, but I'm not so sure that I would do it again. I think I'd almost rather have a separate egg salad sandwich and a separate pimento cheese sandwich because the pimento cheese kind of overpowers the egg salad. Now, I'm one of those that will say, I think the egg salad sandwich is slept on. And I'm not an egg salad guy. Like, I don't typically go out looking for egg salad sandwiches. Matter of fact, when I have before, 8 times out of 10, the egg salad is not very good. But for whatever reason, Augusta National's egg salad, I think, is phenomenal. It is really good. The pimento cheese, it's off the charts good. I was thinking, well, it's been a while since I had it. Is it overrated? Is it overrated? I love it. The pimento cheese at Augusta National, fantastic. Now, for the first time, now I have not been to the Masters and actually had the pork barbecue before, but the pork barbecue that came in the Taste of the Masters heated up, fantastic. It was really good. Another thing that I think is really good, and I will do it again, is putting a little pimento cheese on top of the pork barbecue. Gosh, that was really, really good. But all three of those main dishes, the pimento cheese, egg salad, pork barbecue, fantastic. The chips were solid. They were good potato chips. The barbecue chips are good. The plain chips are good. They're kettle cooked chips. I don't know if they're the best chips I've ever had in my life, but they're really good chips. And of course, anything that comes in a master's bag, I think was really cool. The Georgia pecan caramel popcorn, never had it before. Really good. I mean, it's really good stuff. I'm not a big flavored popcorn guy, but that is something that if I go back, I would go get that and have a bag of it. Now, the thing that really surprised me the most, how much I really liked, were the chocolate chip cookies. Man, them things were so good. They were very flavorful. There's enough, softness to it. I'm not a big cookie guy when it comes to things that are packaged. I like my cookies to be fresh. I'm a crumble cookie guy. I know it's probably not the most masculine thing to say, but I love those cookies. But the chocolate chip masters cookie, I don't think they get enough love. Those things are so, so good. Like, those things are so good. I would really encourage, if you just like cookies, get you a chocolate chip cookie. If anyone's offered it, it's really good. It's a better than average cookie. May or may not say how many of the 6 cookies that I ate that was a part of that, tasting kit. Actually have way too many. Yeah, way too many. And yeah, I'm gonna leave that one right there. The one part of the concessions that I really wanted to try, and I'm hoping that somebody will bring me one back. I don't think so. It's probably getting late. I wanted to try the Masters candy bar. That is what they brought out this year, new food item. It was a Masters candy bar that there at the Masters was going for 225. Like, I so wanted to try that. It looks like a caramel, dark chocolate. It got some really good reviews and some just very average reviews on social media. I mean, I think one of the cool things I did like too during Masters Week was go on TikTok and Instagram and search Masters 2026. You did get these big old Masters Hall, and people would show all the different things that they bought from the Masters and, the food that they got. They had taste testings of, the taste of the Masters that we just did. And I couldn't do that. I've thought about doing it, but I didn't want to do it. And then they did, taste testings from all the different other things that they got from the Masters. And then, like I said, the merch hall, just their different experiences that they had. I even saw a media member post about he got selected to play in the media day afterwards. I think they choose 20 media members for the next day on Monday to get an opportunity to play Augusta National. I saw a guy, post on TikTok about that. I thought it was fantastic. Matter of fact, I might even try to get him on the podcast to talk about that experience. But I think, one of the things I think is interesting about the merch, and I will say even the food, because I even looked online, I saw where eBay, people were selling the plastic cups, like 4 for $20 for the plastic reusable cups that you get your regular soda drinks, your beer, stuff like that in. It was like 4 for 20. And then I just Googled Masters candy bar. A $2.25 candy bar was going for eBay for $27 for a candy bar, $27. Now there was there was an active auction going on and there was multiple bids. The candy bar was up to $15. So I'm curious like what their final price ended up being, but there wasn't a ton being sold on eBay, but I saw one being sold for $27 for a candy bar. That blew my mind. Now, whether or not someone's actually getting $27 for that candy bar, I won't know. But the sad thing is, I bet if someone posted that thing for $20, someone was going to buy it. But then that goes into the Masters merch. Let's just talk a little bit about the Masters merch. The big thing when you hear Masters merch, what was the highlight from the week? Well, first of all, I don't know. I didn't actually go, but when you hear people, they're talking about the gnomes again. It is crazy to me to think they put about I read reportedly 1,000 each day, so it was maybe 7,000 gnomes. And I think they're still kind of secretive about how many gnomes they actually put out there. I don't think anyone really knows except the people at Augusta National. I think they kind of just because there's I think two, maybe three different merch opportunities there at Augusta National, but the gnomes were going for $50, and I looked on eBay and they're going for like between 600 and 650, and even some are like 800 and $1,000. But sometimes when people say, "Oh, the gnomes they're going for 1,000 online," they might put them online for 1,000. But is anybody actually paying $1,000 for a gnome? Please, I hope nobody listening to this podcast pays $1,000 for a gnome. Now, granted, I get it. If there's some real special reason why that particular gnome, like maybe I could wrap my mind around you paying money for a gnome that I think was the very first one ever done, which was not terribly long ago. But for 2026, if you pay $1,000 for a gnome, please don't do that. It was awesome that our recent guest, John Morton, who went to the Masters, we had on the podcast. We even talked about this. We talked about the gnomes. I saw he was able actually to get a gnome, or I think he got a couple of gnomes. Matter of fact, I think he gave away, a one to one of his guests. I would encourage you, go check him out. Go check out John Morton. He's at John Morton 215. And please listen to our old podcast that we had him on. He was a wealth of knowledge. It was very cool. I can't wait to have him on the episode next year. We're going to talk about the Masters again because there was so many cool things that he talked about. But I think the cool thing about about the merch when they talked about it, it's like it's reportedly that is $70 million that is done over the 7 days of the event. The reality is the Masters merch building, if I'm saying this correct, is actually open 9 days because it will be open for the annual that's on Saturday and the drive, chip, and putt on Sunday, and then 7 days of the Masters. I can't believe I'm saying this. When they say $70 million over the tournament, I think that might actually be underreported. And I think that's crazy. I think one of the things too, like I said, is I go through social media and see on the media, like what people spent. It seems like the average that people spent was like $1,000. Now, I think that's just people throwing out a number when they ask like 5 or 6 people, how much did you spend in the pro shop today? 1,000. But I don't think that's crazy. I mean, I don't think well, let me back up. I don't think that's crazy to think that the average is 1,000. It might even actually be higher. There was someone that they actually showed the person's credit card receipt and it was 28,000. $28,000 at the pro shop. Now, granted, I get people spending 28,000 at the pro shop there for Augusta National. They're probably, first of all, they're in a different tax bracket than me. I'm certain of that. They're probably also buying it for a bunch of different friends and different people, and I've thought about this, like, were they doing it as an investment? They spend 28,000 thinking that they're going to sell all this stuff and recoup and get, maybe make 50,000 on it. I will tell you, I'm not gonna lie and sit there and tell you the thought didn't go across my mind that maybe if I went to the Masters and I bought a bunch of extra stuff there from the merch tent, or it's not a tent, it's a building. It looks like a fantastic building that I couldn't actually sell all that stuff on the secondary market eBay, then maybe actually pay for my trip down to Augusta, maybe pay for me to even buy a ticket. To me, that just feels icky to do that. I don't fault people for trying that. I do fault maybe, I don't know, if that person who spent 28,000, if they were doing it to resell all of it, that just seemed really, really wrong. And I know Augusta National can't stand that, but I think they also know that that is a one thing that they really can't regulate very well. So I'll be interested to see how can they regulate that? Maybe do they start placing limits on how much stuff you can buy? And then you're like, well, what about the dad that's buying for all his 4 kids, 6 kids, the whole office, the Sunday school group? So I think my gut is Augusta National has just kind of given in and people just come in, buy whatever. And my gut is this is only going to continue to get worse. Like as this is on social media more and more people, when they go to the Masters, they're going to just buy more and more stuff to give to people, or more and more stuff that, I'm going to sell this. I might buy 1 or 2 items, maybe not $28,000 worth, but they're going to buy a few extra items just to sell, to maybe help cover some expenses. I don't know. I'll be interested. That might be something I do more research on. So I would love to see when I hear more figures about how much money was actually made there at the Masters. First of all, we'll never get an accurate figure. So I'm curious how these people came up with $70 million, because I actually think, with guessing, I really don't know. That could be I wonder if that's underreported. One of the great things too about the Masters, I think is kind of cool, is the celebrities that are there. I mean, there are all sorts of different celebrities out there. I mean, you had Travis Kelsey, Jason Kelsey, Caitlin Clark. I didn't see that till recently. She was there. Lexi Hull, Kevin Hart, Pat McAfee, Blake Griffin, Sam Darnold, excuse me, Andy Roddick, DeMarcus Lawrence, football player, The Miz, WWE guy, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. I think they're both Augusta National members. Nolan Smith, football player, just a lot of different stuff. I actually had, one of our coaches had an opportunity to work the Masters, and he worked in the concession stand. And he texted me after one day of working. He said, "Today I met Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, Rich Paul, Mike Tomlin, Jason Kelsey, Will Ferrell, Rafael Nadal, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and J.R. Smith. Oh, and I saw Kevin Hart from afar too." And that was just one day that he saw these people at his concession area that he worked, which I think was really, really cool. One of the things too I saw a great picture of J.R. Smith playing, or at one of the Masters party, and he had a great hat. He had a tree farm hat on at the party. And when I see stuff like that, I think that is really cool. Just like I saw Travis Kelsey, he had a Hoopie hat on, which I think that's, Hoopie logo is awesome. The tree farm hat, elegant, awesome. I even saw Zach Blair, I think, posted on his Instagram with, J.R. Smith wearing that. I think that is so cool. And I just saw recently too, Kevin Hart, apparently while he was there, went and played golf at Sage Valley. I think that is awesome. That would be pretty cool to be at the course and see Kevin Hart playing Sage Valley. That's why I think it's interesting, especially as a South Carolina guy, to see how many of these celebrities went into the South Carolina area, may have played Tree Farm, Sage Valley, Old Barnwell, 21 Club, which we're starting to see more and more pictures come out of 21 Club, which I'd love to get out and see. So I think the celebrity factor of the Masters is so cool. I'm a guy, I like to see celebrities. And am I going to run up to them and go ask for an autograph or selfie? Nah, I'm not doing that. But I still think it's cool to see that when they come to these different events. And it also goes to show you, is the Masters even bigger than the Super Bowl? And I've wondered that. And I think maybe they're very different. But it seems to me, if you're doing over the course of a whole week, I'm pretty confident there are more celebrities that come to probably the Masters or bigger celebrities that come to the Masters than they do the Super Bowl. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off on that, but I think it was fascinating to see. All right, this week, my top 10. I'm going to bring back the top 10. Top 10 concession items that I want, from the Masters. So, like, if I'm going, these are in order of the different things. Now, first of all, I had to act. This is actually one of the most difficult top tens I did. If I could only choose 10 items, and I narrowed it down to 10. Now, granted, there was a couple of, we'll say, honorable mentions. Like, I wanted to try the chicken salad on honey wheat. It was only $3. I didn't make the top 10, but I did want to try it. I also want to try the breakfast types. I want to try a Master's coffee. Now, I've heard nothing good or bad about a Master's coffee. I've heard the Master's chicken biscuit, the breakfast items. I've actually heard that they're only okay. Like, I still want to try them, but they didn't make my top 10. So we're going to go in order. Top 10, like if I can only buy 10 items, I'm going to buy them in this order. Number 10, bottled water. Can't believe that bottled water made the top 10, but I want the bottled water for the Masters logo. I just think that would be, I love that type of branding stuff, but have a Masters water bottle, gotta have it at number 10 and only $2. Okay. Number 9, I want to try the Crow's Nest Ale because it comes in a different cup, the green cup. It says Crow's Nest. I want to try it. I'm not a big ale guy, but I just want to try it. And if nothing else, honestly, I want to try it for the cup. I just want the cool green cup that says Crow's Nest. I think is just really, really cool. Number 8, we're going to go back to the Georgia pecan caramel popcorn. I think that stuff was really good when I had it. That's a solid one. I would go back to that. Number 7, this is the one that I don't know how I feel about it. The savory tomato pie. Now, I can't tell you that the savory tomato pie is something I think I've heard more people say it's just okay. And then I've heard 30% of the people say, man, this thing is slept on. It is really good. So to me, to put it at 7, it's more about a curiosity thing that I want to try it. It's one of those, if I don't, it's one that I would try. When I go to win, we're going to speak this thing into existence. We're going to be positive. When I go to the Masters next time, hoping next year, but I don't want to get too positive. Um, I'm going to have a savory tomato pie, but that means I got to have all the other things too. Number 6, the Masters candy bar. Yep, I got a 225. I'm going to have it. I got to try that. It looks good. The reviews are mostly good, but certainly got to try that. Number 5, I put down the cookies. Now, the only cookies I really know about is the chocolate chip. So I'm going to go with chocolate chip at number 5. I've got to have that again. It was so, in the Taste of the Masters, it was so, so, so good. Number 4, we're going to go through our sandwiches here. Number 4, we're going to the egg salad sandwich. I will tell you, I think the egg salad sandwich is underrated. It is so good. I remember the last time when I went to the Masters, I had one and thought, man, this is really good. And it's not an overpowering taste. It's light. I would say fluffy, but it's got a good texture, good flavor. I would say just try it. If it's not your thing, I get it. It's not your thing, but I think it's really good. Number 3, the pork barbecue sandwich. I mean, the pork barbecue there is so good. I mean, what I had with the Taste of the Masters, it was really, really good. So that's why I would go back. Number 2 was, let's go with, and this may be a little bit of a surprise here. It's at number 2, the pimento cheese sandwich. I'm a big pimento cheese guy when it's good. Like I will say this, half the pimento cheese I try is usually pretty good. The other half is just okay. But the Masters pimento cheese, I think it's really, really good. The biggest criticism I can give of the Taste of the Masters kit that I got, and overall, once again, the packaging, the branding on that whole kit was phenomenal. Loved it. The one thing, if they would change something, I would change that they would give some of those green plastic, whatever wrappers they are that go around the sandwiches. I wish they would send some of those in the kit so you can make the sandwiches and put them inside those green wrappers. But something about the Masters pimento cheese, I think is outstanding. And number 1, the thing that I want to try, the top item I want to try, like if I went back and I went to the Masters today and I said, hey, you can have one item. What one item, food item would you want to have? And I want to try the Georgia peach ice cream sandwich. I've never had it before. It just sounds really good. And I just want to try it. Like I've had most of the other things on that list, but I think to try the Georgia peach ice cream sandwich, That is my top thing that I want to try. So, what's in your top 10? I would certainly love to hear from you. What am I missing? Did I miss a food item that should have been on there? Please hit us up on social media. We're at SS of Golf on X and Instagram. Please also send me an email, southernstateofgolf@gmail.com. I love to hear from listeners. I promise you I'll write you back. I did recently realize that I missed a couple of emails that I got, but I then responded back to them, and it's been great to connect with listeners. I'd love to connect with you, hear what you think. Maybe give me something else to think about. If you got recommendations for courses, recommendations on food for the Masters. If you can't tell, I love food. That's one of the top things I love about the Masters. So here we are, coming up not too terribly far. Well, it's actually still a good ways away. The 2027 Masters. So just in case you want to know, the practice rounds are April 5th through April 7th. You've got the tournament rounds starting Thursday, April 8th, that go on to Sunday, April 11th. Now, the real key thing about this, the official ticket lottery opens on June 1st of 2026 and runs through June 20th. So I'm sure we'll be talking about the Masters again around June 1st to June 20th, because people will be applying for it. And then they say that the winners, which I don't know anything about, are announced sometime in July. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, because I really want to go back. I'm going to do whatever I can reasonably to figure out how can I go for at least one day of the Masters in 2027. I will say, of all the sporting events, it is the one sporting event that I'm actually jealous / like, gosh, I really want to go to that. Like when I see the Super Bowl, I'd love to go to it. I think it would be really cool, but I don't really like, gosh, I want to go. The Masters, gosh, I really want to go. And I think part of the tease is, with living in the Columbia area, that it's only an hour and some change, an hour and a half away. Like, you're so close to it. Like, I get it. If someone gave me a free ticket to the Super Bowl the day before, it would be a hassle for me to probably figure out a way to go fly there and get there and go to the game. But in Augusta, for me, just being right down the road and just to see what a big deal it is. And like I said, I've been twice, but when I went those two times, I don't think I really appreciate it for what it is. And now that I've gotten back into golf and, pay attention more in pop culture, social media, and to learn more about their traditions and learn more about the things that aren't talked about as much, that I want to go back even more now, because I think I would better appreciate the experience for sure. So, hey, love your feedback. Love to get anything that you think about it and your feedback on the Masters and what you're looking forward to it. Please connect with us. Love to have it. I thank you for your time. Once again, listen to another edition of the Southern State of Golf podcast. Have a great day.